Hey folks, a lot to talk about tonight. I'll wait a little bit. Hey George. Darren. Jason. We have a lot to discuss tonight. Hey guys, how you making it? So, we got a lot to talk about. The riots aren't stopping, and it seems that more authoritarianism, or at least the threat of it, may actually be making it worse. Now, I've been called a leftist, a communist, and a bunch of other things the last 2 days because I don't support the government sending stormtroopers in to cities to quell these things. I don't support a heavy-handed authoritarian regime essentially in the cities to take care of this. So, the same people that called the same cities Democratic shitholes 2 weeks ago are now saying, well, I can't believe you're just going to let them do this. It's the problem. We've locked people in their homes for 2.5, 3 months. We've closed their businesses. They can't go anywhere. They couldn't even go out to eat. Most of them, a lot of them have lost their jobs. I mean, at the tune of 40 million people that we know of. And this has been their only outlet. There's bad actors. But ask yourself this, to be all fairness. Was it okay for the Democrats and everybody and the leaders to say, well, we're imposing these mandatory quarantines for coronavirus? No, it wasn't. Because of a few cases of coronavirus, because it was a fear tactic. Now, by saying, are we going to allow more lockdowns because of the fear of riots? I mean, there's no difference here. I mean, it's the same. It's the exact same thing. I watched a video a little while ago in Virginia. A bunch of people protesting. And I'm not talking about thugs. These look like white college kids sitting on the ground, legs crossed, signs holding up, screaming and hollering. And about 100 yards away was a line of police. And they fired tear gas at these people for no good reason. I mean, nobody had even done anything. And I mean, it's on my wall if you guys want to look at it. It's rather disgusting. But that's why these people are pissed off. Authoritarianism and heavy-handedness just leads up to more reaction. So for every action, there's a reaction. The root of the problem is not reacting to what's going on now. It's what has brought this to that. And the answer is whether you like it or not, and I really give a shit, and if you don't like it, kiss my ass. I'm just going to go ahead and say that because I'm tired of defending my actions. If you don't like what I'm getting ready to say, you can kiss my ass. Kaepernick took a knee. He said it was about police brutality against black people. Okay? He did it. And people shunned him, almost shut down NFL games. The president got up and walked out of a game. The vice president, got up and walked out of a game. Cost the taxpayers $500,000 for his little stunt that day. Kaepernick's stunts didn't cost us nothing. Not a nickel. We're not paying his salary. Okay? And then Kennedy comes, John F. Kennedy once said, those who make peaceful protest impossible make a peaceful revolution impossible, make violent revolution inevitable. And that's what you're seeing now. Anytime you put thousands of people together like this and a riot starts, this is what happens. And then I'm going to tell some of you guys that said, oh, well, this crap didn't happen when there was guns, 22,000 guns in Richmond. Yeah, you're right, it didn't happen. But where are those 3%ers now? Where are all those groups that said they were going to support freedom and liberty? Where are they at now? If they were standing behind these protesters, the protesters would probably be better behaved, and the cops would a hell of a lot be better behaved. So that's what the half of this is about. So Trump comes in and he says, I'm going to declare Antipa a terrorist organization. Well, great. Does that mean that anybody caught in the Antipa group doesn't have the right to a trial? Do they lose their Fifth Amendment right? Or are they going to be military tribunals or whatever? But what about Trump's not going to be there forever? We know that. He may get 4 more years, and the way it's going, I don't even know if that's going to happen. But what about when the next Democrat jumps in? What about when they come in and they label 3% groups or pro-gun groups like BCDL in Virginia and other pro-gun groups as terrorist organizations because they support gun violence and all? Then what? Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. It's the same. Yes, Antifa, people that belong to Antifa, call themselves Antifa, let's put it that way, are starting trouble. Okay. In Richmond, BCDL at Lobby Day, there was Antifa all over the place. They didn't start trouble. They knew better than to start trouble. So, I ask you, if you're a true patriot, what are you standing for? An authoritarian regime that'll come back, it's great? Why your guy is in office? I mean, yeah, you could stand with the president, stand with the state, as long as Trump's in office. Then what happens when the next one comes along and you're going to be the enemy, right? Lance, not officially, labeled them. He may have called them a terrorist organization, I get you, but he didn't label them in the court. Now, I'm going to tell you, anybody that defends Bill Barr as Attorney General of the United States is seriously troubled. I mean, that means they have never read anything. Bill Barr is responsible for Ruby Ridge. A man that was set up, Randy Weaver, by a federal agent. He was conned into cutting a barrel a half an inch too short. And that's what started all of Ruby Ridge. And what came of it? His wife got shot while she was holding her baby. Got shot in the head and dropped dead in her front door. Her 14-year-old son ran out the wood pile or something, and he got shot in the back. Then Idaho indicted him before a grand jury for murder, the sniper, and when Bill Barr got out of office, he defended the guy pro bono. Pro bono. He also defended the same sniper after Waco, when the guy sat around and took pictures with the dead bodies. He defended him once again there. Barr is garbage, okay? Bill Barr is not your friend. He will put you in a cage if it suits an agenda. He will put me in a cage if it suits an agenda. He will put every one of these protesters in a cage if it suits his agenda. He will never put a cop in a cage, not once, not ever. He will never put a cop in a cage. And you watch what I tell you, there'll be no federal charges filed against this cop that killed George Floyd. There'll be no charges filed against him in the federal court, and the state court will give him away with a slap on his wrist, and we'll never hear about it again. And you're right, Jason. The people don't know how this country was born out of violence. The Boston Tea Party, and you can argue with me all you want. Boston Tea Party was an act of looting and vandalism. It was owned, the tea was owned by a private company. Now, it was a crony company, but it was still a private company. We talked about this, I've talked about this in other videos. They used private, they destroyed somebody's private shipment. Not to mention all the shopkeepers that had pre-ordered and prepaid for things that was coming to their shopkeepers. So, and then during the food riots during the American Revolution, women led some food riots in the American Revolution, and they looted stores that were loyal, that had British flags on their windows and all, just because. So what's different, right? Throughout history this has happened. Lincoln burned Atlanta, Lincoln let Sherman burn Atlanta on his march to the sea, torched it, okay? They burned Richmond. They burned cities that were sympathetic to causes. It's happening, and that's how revolutions are and civil wars are. There's nothing civil about any of it. So this is an awakening for a lot of people on both sides, and it needs to be talked about amongst yourselves without drawing a hard line in the sand. Now, that being said, people need to respect other people's property, and store owners need to shoot people if they try to steal their stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, if they want to, that's their property, that's their business. Now, where I'm going to say Target, Walmart, and all them, I'm going to tell you why I ain't got to put it. I have no sympathy for them. And I'm going to tell you this because they made billions of dollars last year. If they feel that they want personal, if they feel that they need extra security, they got plenty of money to pay private security to come guard their shit. But they won't. What they'll do is cry to the federal government, and they'll expect a bailout, and the insurance companies will take a bailout. Matter of fact, let's talk about that. Say you own an insurance company, and you're going to have to insure all this crap, right? Would it not be in your best interest to send some extra security on your nickel down there to help defend that investment? The cops need to defend property instead of attacking protesters all the time. The states and cities in this country, if you've watched, that have stood and their cops have stood down and went back to protecting property and left the protesters alone, they haven't had that looting and stuff, okay? So, what do you pay taxes for? I mean, well, it's kind of a police protection racket, right? Oh, you want this, but here's the problem. Ask yourself this: if Cosa Nostra, the mafia or something, excuse me, had taken 10% of your money to protect you from something, would they let rioters and looters loot your property? Hell no, they wouldn't. So they're even ineffective at doing what they promise you they're going to do. But they're not ineffective when it comes to dropping the hammer on innocent people, because they're the ones that suffer. They are not catching none of these looters. They're just catching these outliers. I'm just saying, the ripped are strong in this country, folks. And feeding it one side or the other does nothing but drive us further apart as a country. The enemy in our country right now is the run-amok federal government that doesn't want us to have control. They govern by our consent. I would be perfectly happy dropping buckets of tar and bags of feathers on the street and having these people jerk some of these people out, these bureaucrats and these politicians out of their offices and tar and feather. And running them out of town on the rail. That's the step that needs to be taken. All right, folks, I'm going to talk to you later. Have fun. Be careful, whatever you're doing. Talk to you later.